Readers, so today we are going to make some inferences. And making inferences means that sometimes questions or answers aren't always right there in the text. The author doesn't explicitly say those answers. So we do have to use some of what the text evidence says and our thinking, our background knowledge, what we know of it, to come up with these deeper level thinking, inferences, okay? So sometimes when we are thinking about what's happening in your real life and what you know, we can come up with this conclusion. So I'm going to read Last Stop on Market Street, one of my favorite books. And then also you'll probably notice I've got lots of sticky notes, just like how you guys would in your classroom when silently reading. Jotting down your thoughts on sticky notes, I do that as well. So let's start making some inferences. CJ pushed through the church door, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. Okay, already I am noticing two different inferences in this. So when it says CJ pushed through the church door, skipped down the steps. The air smelled like freedom. Okay, so I'm using that text evidence, but then I'm thinking to myself, all right, we've got this little boy who is kind of running down the steps, very happy now. His mood is happy, and he's thinking the air smells like freedom. So meaning that he is, away from the thing that he didn't really want to do, which would probably have been church. I don't think he really wanted to be there because he was so excited to leave it, and it smelled like that freedom. And I mean, he's a little boy. He probably wants to just play outside and play with toys, right? So my inference that I use from these words, but also my thinking, is that CJ probably didn't want to go to church. Did it really say that? Did it say CJ didn't want to go or CJ didn't like church? No, but I used some of this text evidence and my background knowledge, my real world thinking, to come up with that inference. My second inference that I notice on this is that I think it is just starting to rain. It's not pouring yet, but there's a couple sprinkles because it says it also smelled like rain. So sometimes right before a storm, you can kind of smell the rain. And then which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. Okay. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" Okay, so now I'm thinking that they're probably going to have to take the bus now because he told us that they don't own a car. And to get around to places, they either have to walk, but it's raining, so walking probably wouldn't be fun. So they're probably standing in the bus stop. And again, with these picture books, it's helpful to look at the pictures to kind of predict or make conclusions. So you see that bus stop sign and they're kind of standing away from the rain. "Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire. And old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you." The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the door swung open. Okay, I'm thinking again. I know that they get on the bus because, well, first, the first page said they didn't own a car, so they have to get on the bus to travel. But then also it says that the bus creaked to a stop in front of them. So it pulled up and stopped right in front of them, and the doors swung open. And then obviously our pictures help us that he's getting on up in. So it didn't say that CJ and Nana got in the bus, but using text evidence and our thinking, making that inference. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. How come we always gotta go here after church? CJ said. Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere. I feel sorry for those boys, she told him. They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the sunglasses man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat. CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on the other side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Nana told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses, too, the man said, sniffing at the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you've been wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Okay, so I'm thinking this man is probably blind because the pictures help us out. Well, I know in my real world experience, blind people sometimes wear those glasses. They have a cane and they have a seeing eye dog. And then also CJ even asked, how come that man can't see? And he says, well, yeah, and we can see with their noses, meaning that they have a heightened sense of smell because they are blind. And I'm also thinking that this might be the first blind person that CJ has ever met. Because I don't think if he was used to seeing blind people out, he probably wouldn't be asking that. Probably wouldn't be asking, how come that man can't see? He probably would have already understood if he saw more of these blind people. So I'm thinking this is probably his first time ever seeing one. The two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood him back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana sat down knitting. What for? You got the real life thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered. I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus and out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coins in CJ's palm. CJ dropped in the man's hat. Last stop of Market Street, Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti-tagged windows and boarded-up stores. He reached for his Nana's hand. How come it's always so dirty over here? She smiled and pointed to the sky. Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful. Okay, I'm thinking again. I'm thinking that they're probably not really in a great area where they're at because of the crumbling sidewalks, broken down doors, graffiti-tagged windows, and CJ saying, why is it so dirty over here? So I'm using my background knowledge, and it's probably not the most great area, or it's probably low economically, so maybe like poor neighborhood because of all of this, what we're seeing. So let's keep reading though. That's my favorite part. CJ saw the perfect rainbow arching over the soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamp still lit up bright, and the stray cat's shadows moving across the wall. Okay, so I'm thinking now that there's two different inferences I can make. I could make that they themselves could be maybe like poor because they didn't have a car, they had to drive the bus, they're in this not so nice neighborhood, they're going to a soup kitchen, meaning that place where they give you free food. So I could be thinking that they might be poor, but then I'm also thinking that maybe they're volunteering at the soup kitchen because this whole time Nana has been very, very kind and has always answered CJ's question in a positive way. She's always thinking positively, and like CJ said, she's always seeing the beautiful where he never thought to look. So let's see if they're going to the soup kitchen for themselves or if they're volunteering. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "I'm glad we came." He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, "Me too, CJ. Now, come on." All right, I can tell with the pictures, though, it helped me. They are the ones serving. They're volunteering because they've got the caps and they've got some bowls that they're scooping in for the people to come eat. Okay? And there they are waiting on the bus again. Okay? So remember, readers, when we are reading, sometimes the authors don't always state things in the text. So we do have to use the text evidence, but our thinking, our background knowledge to make inferences for deeper thinking.